Okay, today we're going to talk about the distance and the midpoint formula. All right, so finding distance between 2 points on a coordinate plane. Well, let's first just look at segment AB. Because it's perfectly vertical, I can just count the number of blocks, so 1, 2, 3, 4. So I know that the distance or the length of segment AB is 4 units. By the same token, if I want to find the length of AC, it's completely horizontal. So I know that the larger number is 5. I can subtract the smaller number, which is minus 5. So I know that this has to be 10 units long. Or I can just count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But what about BC? When it's diagonal like this, I can't just simply count the boxes because it cuts through some of the boxes. They're not completely vertical or completely horizontal. So I wouldn't know how to get an accurate measure of the length of BC. So therefore we need something called the distance formula. Now the distance formula kind of looks like a nasty formula, but really all you're doing is plugging in 2 coordinate points. So let's take a look at an example. We take a look at this same example. Here we have points B and points C. So I know the coordinates of point B would be negative 5, 4, and the coordinates of C would be 5, 0. All right, so here are our 2 points. You're going to arbitrarily call one x1 and y1 and call the other one x2 and y2. I chose negative 5, 4 as x1, y1 and 5, 0 as x2, y2. Now that you've selected your x1 and y1 and your x2 and y2, all you have to do is plug them into your formula. All right, so the first part of the formula says x2. Well, we called x2 5. x1, well, we called x1 negative 5. I'm going to put that in parentheses so I don't forget that these 2 negatives will make a plus. y2 we called 0. And y1 we called 4. Now, using my PEMDAS rules, I'm going to go ahead and carry out the math inside the parentheses first. So 5 minus a minus 5 will give me 10. 0 minus 4 will give me a negative 4. I now have to square each one of these numbers. So I'll have 10 squared, which is 100. Negative 4 squared, which is negative 4 times negative 4, which would be 16. I have to now add these 2 numbers together, and I'll get the square root of 116. And then I'll have to simplify this radical. So I can break 116 down to 4 times 29, but I know that the square root of 4 is 2, so this will be 2 times the square root of 29 units. If you need help simplifying radicals, please ask, and I'm sure we can help you with that. All right, now you try one. Find the distance between points negative 1, negative 2, and 2, 4. Go ahead and pause the video while you work through the answer. All right, let's see how you did. Did you get 3 square root of 5? All right, so let's work through that. All right, I chose the first one to be x1, y1, and the second point to be x2, y2. If I plug them into my formula, x2 is going to be 2, x1 is negative 1, y2 is 4, y1 is negative 2. I'm going to carry out the math inside the parentheses. So 2 minus a minus 1 is 2 plus 1, which is 3. 4 minus a minus 2 is 4 plus 2, which is 6. I now have to square each one of these numbers and add them together. The square root of 45, I can break that down into the square root of 9 times 5, but the square root of 9 is 3, so 3 times the square root of 5 is the length of that segment. All right, let's talk about the midpoint formula. All right, if I have something that's completely horizontal, how would I find the midpoint of this segment? Or how can I find what is the halfway point between 5 and 13? Well, one way to do it is simply to take the average. I'm going to take 13 plus 5, which is 18, and divide it by 2, so I have 9. All right, so I know that 9 is going to be halfway between 5 and 13. 5 plus 4 would be 9. 9 plus 4 would be 13, so I know 9 would be in the middle. These two are congruent because I'm looking for a midpoint. All right, but once again, when I have something that's on a diagonal, it's not so easy to figure out where the midpoint is. Now, you might be able to eyeball this and take a guess, but you're not necessarily sure that that's going to be your midpoint. All right, so here we have the midpoint formula. Again, it looks kind of scary, but the only thing you're doing is you're just basically taking the average of your x values and then taking the average of your y values. All right, so let's using our original points, negative 5, 4, and 5, 0. Let's find the midpoint of that diagonal. Here's our formula. Again, I'm just going to arbitrarily choose x1, y1, and x2, y2. I'm going to plug them in. So x1 we said was negative 5. X2 we said was 5. Y1 is 4. Y2 is 0. Minus 5 plus 5 would be 0. So I have 0 over 2. And 4 plus 0 is 4. So I have 4 over 2. Well, 0 divided by any number is going to give you 0. So my midpoint is 0, 2. All right, now you try one. Pause this video while you work through the answer. Did you get 5, negative 2? All right, let's work through it. Here are the points. Here's your formula. Plug them in. And 3 plus 7 is 10. 10 divided by 2 would be 5. 5 plus a negative 9 would give me a negative 4. So 10 over 2 is 5. Negative 4 over 2 is negative 2. The midpoint is 5, negative 2. All right, complete worksheet 1-3. And as always, if you have any questions, let us know.